Welcome to Before I Call It a Night. I'm Tarisha, and this is a space for reflection, real life lessons, and the quiet truths that show up when the day begins to wind down. This is for the woman who's building something, whether you're running a business, climbing the corporate ladder, taking care of family, or learning to take care of yourself. Here, we talk about growth, purpose, boundaries, healing, and becoming without pretending it's easy. So take a breath, settle in, and before I call it a night, let me tell you what this day has taught me. Oh, and before we get into it, I just want to say this real quick. I'm not a therapist. I'm just a woman who believes in therapy unapologetically and without shame. I've been in therapy off and on for over 20 years, and I'm super grateful for what's taught me and what my therapist has helped me uncover. So what I share here is never clinical advice. It's reflection, it's lived experience, and it's the kind of insight and tools that have helped me along the way. If you're here, you're probably somebody who has a lot on her plate. A lot falls on you. You care about doing things well. You've probably got goals. People depend on you. And more on your mind than you ever say out loud. So tonight, before I call it a night, I want to talk about expectations. Because with all of that, usually comes expectations. Big ones. Some spoken and a whole lot unspoken. And some that nobody ever handed you directly, but somehow you still end up feeling like they're yours to handle. And truthfully, that's what's been on my mind lately. Somewhere along the way, I became somebody who expects a lot of herself. And I don't mean that as a humble brag. I mean it as a confession. Because the expectations I put on myself are not always kind. They're not always reasonable. And they definitely do not leave room for the fact that I'm human. That I get tired, that life be lifing, that some days things just don't go the way that I planned. But those expectations, they do not care about any of that. They just stand there, hands on their hips, arms crossed. Like my mama waiting on me, the street lights came on and I was still across the street at the Wright's house. And then I've asked myself, where did all of these expectations come from? Because I don't remember picking them up. Some of it came from watching the women around me, watching what strong looked like. The women who kept going, who figured it out, who handled business, who didn't complain, who just made it happen. And then some of it came from spaces that made me feel like I had to work twice as hard just to be taken seriously, like just to have a shot. And some of it, if I'm being honest, some of it came from me because I do want to be great. I have dreams, big dreams. And I believe that I'm capable of more. And none of that is wrong. But what I've learned, there's a difference between standards and unrealistic expectations. Standards are grounded. Unrealistic expectations, well, they keep moving. Standards say, I want to do this well. Unrealistic expectations say, if I can't do it perfectly, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. A little Tay-Tay reference. And for a long time, I was acting like those two things meant the exact same thing. They do not. Because unrealistic expectations, well, they're sneaky. They're not always loud. A lot of times they sound real responsible, real disciplined, real productive. But really, they sound like that voice, telling you that you should have gotten more done by now, that you should have handled this better, that you should be further along, that you should be able to do all the things and still not be tired. They show up when you're finishing something, and instead of feeling proud, you immediately start picking it apart. They show up when somebody else sets a boundary and you think, oh, good for them. That's so good for them. But when it's your turn, suddenly you feel guilty. Like boundaries make sense for everybody else, but not you. They show up when rest starts feeling like something you have to earn instead of something you need. And this is the part that gets me, because the gag is, when the day gets quiet, expectations get loud. That's when all the shoulds start showing up. I should have done more. I should be further by now. I should have said that differently. I should have done that differently. I should be stronger than this. I should have been able to handle all of this better. And now you're not resting. You're reviewing your life like it's a performance evaluation. And let's be honest. Women, we deal with a particular kind of pressure around this. We are expected to be successful, but still soft. Be ambitious, but not intimidating. To lead, but still be nurturing. To hold it down at work, at home, emotionally and mentally, and somehow still act like it's all manageable. And then people act like they're surprised when we say we're tired. It's like the world will praise women for being everything, but gets uncomfortable the moment we admit that being everything is exhausting. And sometimes the weight isn't just what we expect from ourselves. Sometimes it's what other people expect from us. They expect us to be available, to answer the call, to remember the things, to fix the problems, to keep the peace, to show up, even when we're running on empty. And the hard part, a lot of times, nobody says it out loud. They just start moving like your strength belongs to them, like your capacity has no limits. And because you've handled it before, you should be able to handle it again, right? And again, and again, and again. Sometimes people get so used to you handling things that they stop noticing how heavy it is. Or worse, they notice and they still expect you to keep doing it anyway. And if you've been the dependable one for a long time, setting a boundary can feel like betrayal, like you're letting people down, like you're changing the rules of the game in the middle of the game. But you're not doing anything wrong. You're just realizing that being there doesn't mean being endlessly available. Being capable doesn't mean being responsible for everything. Being loyal or reliable doesn't mean people get unlimited access to you. And sometimes the hardest expectations to confront are not even the ones put on you by other people. It's the ones we put on ourselves. Because a lot of us are way harder on ourselves than we would be on someone we love. We would look at a friend in our exact same shoes and say, girl, you're doing the best you can. Give yourself some grace. You've got a lot on you right now. But when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to us, the negative self-talk is like, you should be handling this better. You should have figured this out already. You should be able to keep going. You do not get to tap out. And that's not always high standards. Sometimes that's just a double standard. And yet it deserves to be called out. Here's what I know now. Expectations can be useful when they're rooted in truth, when they reflect your values, when they push you towards who you want to be. But expectations that are rooted in fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing people, or fear of not being enough, those expectations, they do not make you better. What they make you is anxious. They make you critical. They keep you so focused on what's missing that you lose sight of the fact that you're already trying, you're already showing up, and already doing the work. And that version of yourself deserves grace, not a moving goalpost. So I think the real work is learning to ask better questions, right? Not just what is expected of me, but rather, is this expectation even mine? Is this realistic for my real life, my actual capacity? The season that I'm in now, is this helping me grow? Or is it quietly wearing me down? And maybe the biggest question of all, would I expect this from someone I love? Because if the answer is no, it might be time to stop demanding it from yourself. Now, that doesn't mean lower your bar, doesn't mean stop wanting big things, and it definitely doesn't mean stop growing. It just means being honest, truthful, and real. Honest about what is a healthy standard, and real about what's just pressure. You got so used to handling that you stopped questioning it. Standards are about how you choose to live, what matters to you, how you want to show up, and what you're willing to accept. Unrealistic expectations are usually about proving, performing, overcompensating, or keeping everybody else comfortable. Standards support your peace. Unrealistic expectations steal it. And I don't know about you, but I'm at a point in my life where my peace just matters too much to keep handing it over to pressure. So tonight, I'm not saying get rid of every expectation overnight. I'm saying maybe it's time to audit them. Maybe it's time to notice which ones are rooted in self-respect and which ones are rooted in survival. Which ones are helping you become and which ones are keeping you in quiet exhaustion. Which ones still fit the woman you are now and which ones never really did because they were never really yours to begin with. Before I call it a night, here's the question I'm sitting with. What expectations am I holding on to that I need to put down? And what standards do I really want to choose instead? Because the goal is not to become somebody who can do everything. The goal is to become somebody who can live well, honestly, with a little more peace. Thank you for spending this time with me. And before I call it a night tonight, I just want to say, be a little more gentle with yourself. Question the expectations that you've been hanging on to for just a little too long. And remember, you can still be growing and not feel like you have to take on the whole world. You are allowed to grow and give yourself grace at the same time. Until next time, rest well and let some of that pressure go.